Imagine traveling to over 100 countries without ever showing a passport. Imagine driving on public roads without ever holding a driver's license. Sounds impossible, right? Well, for Queen Elizabeth II, this wasn't just possible, it was perfectly legal. But why? Welcome back to Royal Legacy Chronicles, where we uncover the hidden truths behind the world's most powerful monarchies. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating quirks of royal privilege, a legal exception that applied to only one person in the entire United Kingdom. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the Queen lived by different rules than everyone else, and the surprising historical reason behind it. Let's start with the passport mystery. Queen Elizabeth II visited 17 countries during her 70-year reign. From state visits to America to royal tours across the Commonwealth, every single trip without a passport. Now, you might think she had some special royal passport hidden away, but the truth is even stranger. She didn't need one at all. Here's why. In the United Kingdom, all passports are issued in the Queen's name. The British passport literally reads, Her Britannic Majesty's Secretary of State requests and requires in the name of Her Majesty all those whom it may concern to allow the bearer to pass freely without let or hindrance. Think about that for a moment. The document is issued in her name. It would be like asking the Queen to give herself permission to travel. It simply wasn't necessary. This wasn't some modern convenience either. This tradition dates back centuries, rooted in the divine right of monarchs. The crown was seen as the ultimate authority, the source of all legal power in the realm. Passports, driver's licenses, even the courts themselves, they all operate under the authority of the sovereign. So requiring the sovereign to hold a document issued by her own authority would be legally absurd. But here's what most people don't know. While the Queen didn't need a passport, every other member of the royal family did. Prince Philip had one. Prince Charles had one. Even Prince William and Kate Middleton carry passports when they travel. The exception applied only to the reigning monarch. Now let's talk about driving. During World War IOD, a young Princess Elizabeth joined the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service. She trained as a mechanic and military truck driver. Look at this. Photographs from 1945 show her in uniform, hands covered in grease, working on engines. She learned to drive military vehicles, change tires, and repair engines. She was the first female member of the royal family to serve in the armed forces, and she genuinely loved driving. Throughout her life, the Queen was often spotted behind the wheel of her Land Rover, driving around the royal estates at Balmoral and Sandringham. But here's the incredible part. She never held a driver's license, not ever. The reason? Exactly the same as the passport situation. In Britain, all driver's licenses are issued in the monarch's name by the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency. The license is granted by the Crown's authority. So once again, it would be absurd for the Queen to license herself. She was the source of that legal authority. She didn't need permission from herself to drive. But there's an important detail here. While the Queen could legally drive without a license, she only did so on private royal property. The royal estates, the private roads of Balmoral, the grounds of Windsor Castle. She understood the symbolic importance of following the spirit of the law, even when technically exempt from it. This raises a fascinating question. Was this fair? Should anyone, even a queen, be above the law? Well, here's the nuance. The Queen wasn't above the law. She was the law. In British constitutional theory, the monarch is the living embodiment of the state's legal authority. Parliament makes laws, but they become law only when they receive royal assent. Courts dispense justice, but they do so in the Queen's name. Even the military serves the Crown. So these exemptions weren't about special privileges in the way we usually think of them. They were about maintaining the legal fiction that keeps the constitutional monarchy functioning. But here's something that might surprise you. Despite these exemptions, Queen Elizabeth II was one of the most law-abiding public figures in history. She paid taxes voluntarily, even though she wasn't legally required to. She followed protocol and tradition with absolute precision. She respected the democratic process, never interfering with elected government. The passport and license exemptions were symbolic, reminders of the crown's historical role, but the Queen herself lived with remarkable restraint and responsibility. So what happens now? King Charles Drury has inherited the same exemptions. He too can travel without a passport and drive without a license. The tradition continues. But in our modern world, where monarchies must constantly justify their existence, these quirks feel like relics from another age. They remind us that royalty, even in constitutional democracies, still operates in a unique legal space, neither fully above the law nor quite subject to it in the same way as ordinary citizens. Queen Elizabeth Toway traveled the world and drove the roads of her estates, carrying no documents but the weight of history itself. She needed no passport because she was the very authority that issued them. She needed no license because she was the source of permission itself. In a strange way, these exemptions perfectly captured what it meant to be a modern monarch, legally unique, yet choosing to live with grace and restraint. If you found this fascinating, hit that subscribe button and join the Royal Legacy Chronicles family. Drop a like if you learned something new today, and tell me in the comments, what royal mystery should we uncover next? The hidden wealth of Middle Eastern monarchies? The scandal that nearly destroyed the Spanish throne? You choose. Until next time, remember, behind every crown lies a story the world forgot.